Hello, and welcome to my three-part training series on creating an inclusive classroom. Okay. So as we start this, I'm kind of reminded of a little story about a teacher who dies and goes to heaven, and St. Peter meets her at the gates, right? And show her around heaven. And they get to the first neighborhood, and there's all these beautiful homes, and people are outside barbecuing, playing, enjoying themselves. And she's like, is this my neighborhood? And St. Peter's like, nah, it's for doctors, and your neighborhood's up ahead. And so they get to this other equally beautiful neighborhood, but nobody's around. And St. Peter goes, "Well, this is your neighborhood. What do you think?" And she's like, "Well, the houses are nice and all, but where are all the teachers?" He goes, "Oh, don't worry, they'll be back tomorrow. They're in hell at an in service." With that, I'd like to welcome you to my underworld. All right. First, I'd like to kind of go over the training in general. And first, why? Why do we need inclusion training? Why? Well, because we need to. We have to. And these days and times, it's the right thing to do. Aside from the many societal reasons, HLC has added ensuring diversity and inclusion to its mission statement. And HLC is our accrediting agency, so we need to play by their rules. And one of our core accrediting outcomes is inclusive and equitable treatment of our very diverse population. In fact, if we want to maintain our HLC accreditation, we got to provide evidence that we have an inclusive campus. And that's why we're here today. And since we all have a different idea of what these words mean, inclusive, bias, all that stuff, we got to discuss them and make sure everyone's on the same page. All right. Now, the agenda for each training session will be like this. We'll meet about once a month. Today, we're going to cover Relationships 101. There's going to be a short informational session presented by yours truly. Then we're going to have some collaborative activities to model what we're talking about. There is a homework assignment. You're going to be expected to create something that you apply and use in your classroom and implement that process. Okay? Next month, we'll talk about dealing with implicit and explicit bias. And then we'll talk about equity and equality are not the same thing. We're starting with relationships first because sessions 2 and 3, those are some pretty serious sessions. So we need to kind of build our own relationships first so we can have the more difficult conversations in session 2 and 3. Just like you are going to need to build good, solid relationships with your students. So later on, you can have those difficult conversations about bias and equity. All right, relationship 101. Personally, I live and die by the relationship, but many college professors especially ask why. Why do I need to build a relationship? I'm here to teach, they're here to learn. Period. End of discussion. They're not paying for a friend, they're paying for an education. I get you. But there's that old quote attributed to Teddy Roosevelt that says, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I know that's a cliche statement running around education. And my spinoff on it is if you make a kid think you care about them, they will pretty much walk through hell in a gasoline suit for you. They will do anything to reach those goals. You can set that bar as high as you want, and they'll do anything they can to meet it. Okay? Some benefits of having a relationship is you know your audience better. You can tailor instruction to meet their needs. You can point out specific examples that might apply to them. I have a lot of student athletes. When I teach physics, I use baseball as an example, or football, or some other athletic sport as an example to why we need to learn this. And you could also increase student engagement if they think it applies to their lives, if they think that they're part of the learning process. They may even show up to class every now and again. And they'll also feel valued and again, maybe be more engaged in class or a novel idea. And you will create a more exciting and dynamic learning environment. Class discussions will be better, and it'll also be a safe and trusting environment where students feel safe to express their thoughts and ideas. So later, when you do have to come across the hard topics, you'll be better prepared to. Now, how? Well, there's number one, smile. Smile goes a long, long way. I do a lot of end of course surveys with my students, and one of the things they say they always like is every day when they came into the classroom, I was happy. I was always smiling. It was always positive. Listen to them. They have things to say. They have important things to say and thoughts and ideas. Learn their names and use them. Okay. And survey your students. At the beginning of the semester, I always give out a information sheet that I have them fill out. Name, activities they're in, where they're from, et cetera, what their goals are, what their educational goals are, stuff like that. And then I even put a question on there. It says, ask me any question. And at the end of the week, I answer any of the questions they write down. It just helps me get to know them better. Then tell stories, okay? When you were their age or other stories that relate to the content. Everybody loves stories. And then talk to them between classes. Just talk in general. How's your day? How are you? How was the game last night? They like that. It makes them think you actually care about them. Encourage them to ask you questions. They'll start coming into the room and visiting with you, like we're actually people. And it also helps if you can relate the content to their lives, or if you can even find common ground with them, that's even better. And then get out from behind the podium, okay? Don't pull up a PowerPoint and read it to them. They don't want that. Walk around the room. Talk to them, joke with them a little bit, ask them non-content questions, comment on their shoes or what they're wearing, and have a sense of humor, joke around. It's fun, okay? And then use words like our and we instead of you and me. We are going to do this. Our goal is to do this. That makes us a team, okay? We're not on opposite sides. We're all in this learning thing together. But most of all, be yourself. Okay. What works for me isn't going to work for somebody else, and I totally respect that. But there's 1,000 different ways to build relationships with your student. You just got to find the right one for you. As college professors, we range everywhere from the only thing you need to know about me is my name to, and that, boys and girls, is why I'm not married anymore. And both are okay. It's the relationship that's the important part. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a little relationship building activity and get to know each other. And then we're going to collaborate and come up with some ideas for activities we can use in our classroom to help build relationships with our students. And then we'll be back in a month to see how it went and talk about our next session.